What's up, college football fans? Don't forget to check out and order your copy of Stiff Arming Football Myths, our latest football game plan book. So go on our website at footballgameplan.com/books and get your copy. We have these available in paperback as well as in PDF form. Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, bring you our preview of the 2014 Hyundai Sun Bowl between the Arizona State Sun Devils and the Duke Blue Devils. Now let's take a look at some keys to victory for both teams, starting with Arizona State.
For the Sun Devils in this ball game, you look at the biggest matchup I believe they'll have to win is with their wide receivers in the Blue Devils secondary, going against the Blue Devils secondary. You look at the size and the athleticism led by Jalen Strong. If they can have a big day versus the feisty group of corners and safeties of Duke, I think it bodes well for their chances in this bowl game. And I would roll coverage toward Jamison Crowder, the #1 option of the Duke Blue Devils. This guy can do a lot of damage to any defense, so you want to bracket him, take him out of the equation, and force Anthony Boone to go to other targets. And they have to win the perimeter game. We know they love to get DJ Foster, the tailback, out in space. He's the second leading receiver on the team. They have to win those individual matchups in space, make it a horizontal game. I think that's how they can have success versus Duke. And for Duke in this ball game, the defensive line needs to play a complete game on both ends of defense, getting off blocks in a running game, being able to get pressure on Taylor Kelly and that passing offense of Arizona State. I think if Duke is going to win this game, it will come because of their defensive line's play versus ASU. And I would keep it north and south and not east and west versus Arizona State. They have a lot of athletes at the second and third levels. They want to play the perimeter game. You can play the downhill game running behind Laken Tomlinson and trying to get that ground game going. I think that's where Duke can be effective offensively, make it a downhill game instead of a horizontal game. And you have to win in the special teams department. I do believe they can have some success to generate big plays in that aspect because of Arizona State's spotty special teams play. I think that's one way Duke can have a chance to flip field position and also back these guys up deep on that end. The biggest X factor in this game for the Sun Devils will be the play of defensive lineman Marcus Hardison. He's the leading sack getter on the football team, and he's an athletic defensive lineman that I believe can play the 5, the nose, the 7 technique. He can play anywhere along this defensive line. I think they're going to move him around to try to find optimal matchups versus this Duke offensive front. And the biggest X factor for the Duke Blue Devils will be the play of cornerback Breon Borders, who can make himself a household name with how well he does versus Jalen Strong. Borders goes 6 feet 175, and we know Strong is 6'3", 215. If Borders can play above the rim and play big-time ball versus Strong, it bodes well for their chances of slowing down Arizona State Sun Devils' passing attack. Now, here are some pro prospects you want to keep an eye on in this ball game. 3 elite prospects, in my opinion, that you want to look out for. Jalen Strong, the obvious one. He's a junior that has now declared to go into the draft. Marcus Hardison, we talked about him earlier, versatile defensive lineman. And Laken Tomlinson, the offensive guard for Duke at 6'3", 330. But also keep an eye on Jamison Crowder, the wide receiver. He's an explosive guy that does a lot of damage after the catch. Woody Green was a tremendous tailback for Arizona State in the early 70s from 1971 to 1973. 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons, a 2-time consensus All-American, and as a senior, he finished 8th in the Heisman Trophy voting as he finished his Sun Devil career with over 3,700 yards rushing. Clarkston Hines was one of the most outstanding receivers in ACC history. He led the conference in receiving from 87 to 89, was a 2-time All-American, a 3-time first-team All-ACC performer, and was the ACC Player of the Year in 1989, and he finished his Duke Blue Devil career the conference leader in receptions with 189, receiving yards with over 3,300, and touchdowns with 38. In the 1994 Sun Bowl, John Malkovich's Texas Longhorns took on the North Carolina Tar Heels, led by future Longhorns head coach Mack Brown, and this day belonged to Texas running back Priest Holmes as he scored 4 touchdowns to lead Texas to a 35-31 victory. No strangers to the Sun Bowl, the Arizona State Sun Devils took on the Iowa Hawkeyes in the 1997 game, and led by Pat Tillman, that Sun Devils defense kept the Hawkeyes scoreless until late in the fourth quarter en route to a 17-7 victory. In the 1955 Orange Bowl, the 14th-ranked Blue Devils, led by head coach William Murray, knocked off Nebraska 34-7 after a scoreless first quarter. The Blue Devils offense got into gear en route to an impressive victory, finishing the season with a 7-2-1 record. I like Arizona State in this ball game. I believe the athleticism the Sun Devils have on the outside on both sides of the ball will cause a lot of problems for this Duke football team, and I think their defense can get pressure at any level. And I think the pressure will clog up the running lanes and force Anthony Boone to throw the football more often than they want to. So I see the Sun Devils coming away the 2014 Sun Bowl champions.